Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of McMaster and the Mic. I'm Matt McMaster. I want to thank you for joining me once again. We're pumping out episodes right now. I got a little bit behind over the last week, but I made an episode for today. It just got released about, what time is it? It's about 11 o'clock here. Yeah, it's about 11 o'clock. So it got released about an hour and a half ago, and I wasn't planning on making episode 5 right now. This will be released tomorrow, which will be Friday. I was actually planning on making episode 5 for Saturday, but I found something that really ticked me off, and I want to talk about it because I'm really mad about it, and it has to do with sports. So, the Bears had the NFL draft. And going into it, you have to understand that ESPN, the NFL.com, CBS, Bleacher Report, they all have to make their rankings, right? They have to make who did great and who did bad, and that's what they're paid for. They're paid for winners and losers. And I knew going in to the NFL draft that the Bears were going to be labeled as losers. The reason being is because they only had 6 draft picks going into the draft. They didn't even have a first round pick. Their picks were 2, 2, 5, 5, 5, 6, 7, 7. You know, they had really bad picks. Even if they did well, they went by the books in those picks, which they didn't. They were going to get labeled as losers because they don't have a lot of picks to do. So I knew going into it, there was just going to be a lot of Bears hate and a lot of Bears like they didn't do well. I knew they were easy target. They didn't have a lot of picks. They're coming off an 8-8 season. People didn't really like what they did with Nick Foles. So I knew there would be a lot of negativity towards them. But I saw this NFL.com power ranking, and they have the Bears ranked 25th. They have the Bears ranked 25th in the NFL. And that is so maddening that it makes me want to laugh. I don't know. Have you guys ever had that? You're so mad that you just want to start laughing because that is ridiculous. Let's just set the table, okay? Everyone's like, "Oh my God, the Bears and their quarterback problems. The Bears have quarterback problems. They're not going to do well in 2020." They had them in 2019. These quarterback problems aren't new. We had them literally the whole entire season. We had to start Chase Daniels twice. I think once against Oakland, and then when Mitch was doing really bad against LA, we brought him in. Like, we had quarterback problems all year, and we went 8-8. We had quarterback problems the entire year, and we went 8-8. And now these people are like, they have quarterback problems. They have quarterback problems. They're gonna be awful. They're 25th in the league. People are saying that we're gonna go. I guarantee you, once we get close to the season, you're going to see a lot of 6-10, 5-11. What people don't understand is we've had these quarterback problems the entire 2019 season. Along with that, we played the 49ers, we played the Seahawks, we played the Rams, we played the Kansas City Chiefs, we played the Minnesota Vikings twice, we played the Green Bay Packers twice, we played the New Orleans Saints. So we played, let's count it. Green Bay Packers, playoff team. Vikings, playoff team. Saints, playoff team. 49ers, playoff team. Kansas City went to the Super Bowl. Who did I say? The Rams? I think the Rams just missed out on the playoffs. I don't remember. But we literally played the two teams who played in the Super Bowl. We played the Super Bowl champs. We played the NFC champion. We played the Packers, who were in the NFC championship game. We played the teams who played against each other in the divisional round in New Orleans and Minnesota, right? And we went 8-8. We played all these ridiculous teams. Seriously, what? 2 against Minnesota, 2 against Green Bay. You got Seahawks, who were in the playoffs. I didn't even mention them in the playoffs. 49ers, Saints, Chiefs. Literally half of our games were against playoff teams, and we went 8-8 with these problems. And you have us ranked at 25th? That is ridiculous. And that's not okay. So then let's look down the roster, right? You get rid of a Mukamara, who, by the way, was awful. He was really bad the whole year. Like, he wasn't. Look, I won't say he's really bad, but he wasn't good. He wasn't good, and frankly, we got rid of cap space, and it's fine. I'm glad we got rid of him. We got Jalen Johnson and that I forgot his name. It was like 4th-round pick, Kindle something. The cornerback. I would rather have Jalen Johnson than a McMaster. And Jalen Johnson had a 1st-round grade. There were people. Jalen Johnson was projected in some people's drafts in a Bleacher Report mock draft to go to the 1st round, and he fell to him at 50. Okay, so we upgraded. We upgraded at the cornerback position, and Matt Miller even said, don't be surprised if Jalen Johnson, if he stays healthy, which I think he will. Look, shoulder injuries are nothing to mess with, but it's not a knee injury. What Eddie Jackson had with a broke leg was 10 times worse than what Jalen Johnson had, and he's an all-pro corner. And Matt Miller said, don't be surprised if Jalen Johnson is better than Kyle Fuller in 2 years. So I think we upgraded at the cornerback position. I think the Bears not addressing the safety position kind of tells me something, that they're not very concerned with it, that they'll maybe the 2nd round, or not the 2nd round, but the 4th-round cornerback, I forgot his name. I didn't really do a whole lot of research here because I got really mad, and this was just on the spot. Kindle something. They might put him at safety. I know they signed another safety. They got Artie Burns, so maybe they put Buster Screen at safety. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing at the safety position, but they're obviously not concerned with it. And the same thing, I've been telling you this with the quarterback position, that everyone's freaking out about the quarterback position, and we've had those problems all year. Same thing with the O-line. Literally the same thing with the O-line. Everyone's freaking out about the O-line. We had those problems the entire year. We've had those problems since Kyle Long has been getting injured. This is not a new thing. The O-line is not of like, oh my God, we lost our O-line. Like, we don't know what we're going to do. We lost some free agency. We don't know what we're doing. Like, we've had these problems all year, and they got 2 draft picks, 7th round, but they got 2 offensive tackles, which I was cool with, and then Pace, they hired a new O-line coach, Juan Castillo, and apparently he's like the real deal, and Pace said that they didn't want to go out and spend high, they had very limited draft picks, so they wanted to spend their capital on things that they wanted to spend their capital on things that they really needed, and they're confident enough in Juan Castillo for them to be like, yeah, you take care of the O-line. So, you know what? I'll put my trust in Pace. And then you go in the draft, the tight end position was non-existent for the Bears last year, with Trey Burton being injured and Adam Shaheen. It's just so bad. It's just like Ryan Pace and skill players, and honestly, and they get Cole Kmet. They get a guy who just looks, he's a stud, by far the best tight end in that draft. Matt Miller gave the Bears an A for that pick. It seems like he's just the type of guy. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler. I watched a lot of tape on Cole Kmet. He just looks like a stud, and if they can make him into a run blocker too, like that's, my goodness. And then, so you figured out the tight end position. Now, the whole Jimmy Graham signing, that confused me, right? That definitely confused me. But you got better at the tight end position. You got better at the O-line. I think the fact that they brought in Nick Foles, now that Trubisky has competition, and that might improve him. So I think you got better at O-line, at tight end. You got better at the quarterback position. And by getting better at the O-line, your running back got better, because that's just easier for David Montgomery to figure it out. You got a new offensive coordinator, which I think is very, very good for the Bears, because I think Nagy is very smart, but I've always believed in having a coach and then having coordinators. I've never been a huge fan of head coaches calling the plays, because I think that the coach has a lot of responsibilities, and one of those responsibilities is having relationships with the players, having a cultural, building a good culture with the players. And if the head coach is picking and choosing on who to give plays, that's going to really resent the head coach and destroy the culture. So I think I think they hired Bill Lazor as their offensive coordinator. I'm pretty sure I think that's his name, Bill Lazor. So if he's calling the plays, I think they got better on the offensive end. Wide receiver is the only place where I think they digress. Taylor Gabriel, before he got injured, was phenomenal, but that's another thing. Like, they played a lot of the season without Taylor Gabriel, and they were 8-8. So like all these problems that people are bringing up, they had in the 2019 season, and they still went 8-8. So I think if you look systematically on the offensive end, they improved. And then let's go on the defensive end. You lose a McMaster, you add Jalen Johnson. I think that's an upgrade. You lose Clint Dix, and you didn't really replace him, so I'll say that's a downgrade. But then let's look at the defensive line. You lose Nick Williams. And, Nick Williams filled in really, really well for Akeem Hicks. He did a phenomenal job. But then you add Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn is a beast. And now you're opening up the field for Khalil. Because now Robert Quinn is going to have a monster year, or Khalil is going to have a monster year, because you got to pick one or two of them to match up against or to double. Also, too, Akeem is just going to be feasting. Again, he got injured. That was so bad. I mean, that people don't realize is that the first 4 weeks of the season, this Chicago defense in 2019 was better than the 2018 defense, and Akeem Hicks got hurt, and that kind of closed everything down. And I think that now you got Robert Quinn, and you got Khalil Mack, and you got Akeem Hicks and Ed Goldman. I mean, they're going to have the space is going to be so wide open, and I don't think teams are going to have more than 3 seconds to throw against this team. So I think they got better in terms of cornerback. I think safety. I think that's a downgrade, and they got better on the defensive line. They lose Nick Kwiatkowski, but they do have another line. But here's the thing about. They lose Kwiatkowski and they lose Nick Williams, which is a bit, they're very key, fill-in hole players. But the thing is that it's not like Kwiatkowski was a big signing or Williams was a big signing. These were guys that we didn't even hear about until this season, and the Bears were able to develop them and to make them into key contributing members, and they got paid other places. So I think I'm not really concerned. Like, I'm not happy that you lose Nick Kwiatkowski. People call him the Polish Hammer. I thought that was an awesome nickname. And I'm, I didn't like that they lost him, but I'm confident in we were able to develop a guy like Nick Kwiatkowski to the point where he was able to start a couple games when Trevathan got hurt and contribute to the team. Then who's to say we aren't going to still do those things? So you got better at the defensive line. You got better at the cornerback position. The linebackers, you can say that you got worse because Kwiatkowski left and he was a good anchor in the defensive end. Same thing with Aaron Lynch. Like, Aaron Lynch left, but you fill that in with Travis Gibson, Travis Gepson. I thought he was a great draft pick. He got a pretty high grade on Bleacher Report for their draft pick. So you're losing these like bench players, but you already were developing these bench players, and I'm not too concerned about it. I think that if you were to comment, I think the only place where you can look at and say that the Bears got definitively worse was the safety position, because Clint Dix was a pretty good safety, and they didn't fill that need. But you got better O-line, running back. Quarterback, as you added a competition, you got better at the tight end position, you got better at the D-line position, because Leonard Floyd had a pretty bad season. I don't even know if he signed anywhere else, and you replaced him with Robert Quinn and Travis Gibson, and then you got better at the corner. You got better at all aspects of your team, I think. I think they improved tremendously. Not tremendously, not yet. We'll have to see how everything plays out. But I think no matter what you can say, that this team has improved, and yet people are saying they're gonna take a step back. Everything that could have gone bad already went bad in the 2019 season, and they had 8 games against playoff teams. The Bears are playing. They don't have the same schedule. They don't, and they play the AFC South, which is horrendous. They get to play the Texans. They get to play the Colts. The Colts will probably be good this year, but I mean the Texans get rid of Hopkins. So I don't know. The Texans and Colts are question marks, but they get to play Atlanta, who was awful, Carolina, who's going through a rebuilding phase. They get to play. I don't know who they play exactly, and this is a little. It's kind of bad because I didn't do a whole lot of. I just kind of came down here and recorded this, but I know it's not as bad. It's not as tough as the 2019 schedule. So you have an easier schedule and you have a better team, and yet we're digressing. we're gonna get worse. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think it's ridiculous, and I think the Bears have always been the team that the media just picks on, because going into the 2018 season, I said, even before they got Khalil Mack, I said, look, this team is going to be really good. Like, you look systematically up and down this team, like, this team is going to be set. And then they get Khalil Mack, and the media's like, oh, they'll go 9-7. Oh, they're a year away. And then the media always has to pick a team, the sports media always has to pick a team that has to take a step back. And there were people that were saying that in 2019 the Bears were going to go 6-10. And they went 8-8. They didn't do great, but they were in the playoff hunt for a little bit, and now they're keep getting picked on. And I don't buy it. I think it's ridiculous. And then now the Cowboys were ranked 7th. The Cowboys were ranked 7th on this NFL.com post-draft power ranking, which is a joke. And the Cowboys lost their best cornerback, their best D-end, their second best offensive lineman. They still haven't figured out the Dak Prescott situation. But you know what? They drafted CeeDee Lamb. So yes, they're good. 7th. That's a joke. And Tampa Bay, they have gotten better across the board with Brady and Gronkowski. But are they they were... I don't know if they deserve the hype. You have a Gronk who has lost a significant amount of weight. Gronk has lost a lot of weight. And Brady, who didn't exactly have his best season of all time, now his first season without Belichick, with Bruce Arians, who, by the way, Bruce Arians is the most opposite Belichick guy. He is polar opposite of Belichick. He said he'd fire people if they decided not to do their job and go and see... or they decided to do their job and not see their family members do things. Like he said, he threatened to fire his defensive coordinator if he didn't go and see, like, his kid's recital, which is, like, literally the opposite of Bill Belichick. So I just don't understand why they just want to pick on the Bears. I just don't, and I think it's so stupid. And I think that people are buying into it, but you have to realize something. Everything went wrong in 2019, and they were 8-8. And now you look at this season, and they got better systematically across the board. They got 100% better, I think. The only place where you can look at it and be like, yeah, they got worse was the safety position. And they already have an all-pro safety in Eddie Jackson. So it's the only place where you can look at where you say, okay, they didn't get better. And they have a much, much easier schedule. So I just don't know how you can be like, okay, yeah, they're gonna be worse. Or they're 25th. That's a joke. That's a joke. And I cannot wait. You know what, this whole situation, you know, I'm trying to stay away from talking about coronavirus, because I mean, hopefully this, if you're watching this, it gets you away from that. And I really hope it doesn't affect the football season. I don't know. I'm not going to be the one to tell you whether it will or not, but I really hope it doesn't, just so the Bears can shove it in everyone's faces. Everyone's faces. And you look at a team like, everybody's still riding so high with the Green Bay Packers like they were last year because of Aaron. Do you know, like, Aaron Rodgers, I think, hot take, will have his worst season will either have his best season of all time or his worst season of all time because of this situation with... Now, I mean, Matt LaFleur, Aaron Rodgers is already a tough guy to get along with. I mean, that's kind of known around sports media. And if he didn't already have a shaky relationship with Aaron Rodgers, which I don't think they did, they definitely do now. Because Rodgers is looking at Matt LaFleur and saying, you think I'm going to be okay because you just spent... We went to the NFC Championship game, and you got a backup quarterback when I needed a receiver, and you didn't draft... I don't even know if the Packers drafted a receiver. I think that they passed up on 27 wide receivers, and that was their number one need. And Rodgers is going to be like, oh, yeah, I trust you, Matt LaFleur. That's a joke. That's a joke. Like, that is a explosion waiting to happen. It is, and as a Bears fan, I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait. The Lions. The Lions are going to be the Lions, right? They traded their best cornerback and then spent their third pick in the draft on a cornerback. Let the Lions lion. Let them. The Lions are. If thank the Lions and Lions fans should thank their lucky stars that the Cleveland Browns exist. Because if they didn't, they would be the laughingstock of the NFL. The only team I am remotely afraid of is the Minnesota Vikings, and they got rid of Stephon Diggs. So I don't know how. And I knew that people had to understand that was going to have to come at a crossroads because they can't pay Thielen, Cousins, and Diggs did take some shots at their franchise quarterback, if that's what you want to call Kirk Cousins. I mean, he had an okay season, but it wasn't a smooth ride by any means necessary. So it just baffles me. I'm just baffled. I really am. I'm just really baffled. So I'm going to end this episode here, and I'll see you guys later.